Oh, it looks like I'm live. All right. I couldn't see that I was live on my studio controls. All right. So, welcome to this Licks of the Beast live chat, and thank you for hanging out with me this afternoon. So, happy New Year to everyone. I'm really glad that we get to kick off 2026 together. So, this is going to be an interactive chat, and I'm going to be taking questions. I have my guitar with me, and I'm all plugged in, ready to go for some requests. So if anybody has any requests, we're going to get to that. But the first thing I'm going to do is I have some announcements I want to make. There's a couple of things I want to tell you guys about that's pretty exciting, and it's a good way to start the new year. So the first thing is that later this month, I'm going to be attending the NAMM show for the first time ever. So for those of you who don't know, NAMM is the National Association of Music Merchants. It's basically a big association of the music industry. So every year in January, they have this huge trade show where they showcase all the new instruments, the new tech, and the new software from all the major companies and even some smaller ones. So going to NAMM, it's kind of like a legitimate turning point, right? Because after years of kind of looking at the industry a bit from the outside, it's really cool to finally be stepping in to be part of the actual conversation. So this is going to be something really interesting. I'm going to be meeting with brand representatives and key figures in the industry. So it's going to have a significant impact on the channel. The next thing I want to tell you about is where the channel is going. So the channel is going to be focusing on song breakdowns mostly. I think that's going to be one of the things that we're going to be doing a lot of is song breakdowns. It's kind of the thing I really like doing a lot, where I get to take a song and show you what's going on, why it's cool, why you like it, basically. What are all the elements that are happening in the song. So we've done many of those over the years, and I think that's going to be something that I'm going to be doing even more of. We're going to be doing artist features, kind of like what we did with Michael Schenker and with Glenn Tipton and Adrian Smith and all those kind of things. We're still going to do a lot of videos like that. We're going to be doing a lot of gear talk, concert reviews. I'll still be doing some playthroughs, the long form videos where I'll be playing a song, all the different guitar parts and all that. And I'll be doing the solos as reels, of course. And I'm also thinking about starting to add some interviews, talk to musicians that I'm personally interested in talking to. The difference is that I really want to hear about the key elements of their playing style and also the songwriting process, because that's something that you don't hear too often, is what they were thinking when they were writing something, how they went about composing a song, how they put that stuff together, how a that great chorus might have come together, how they worked it out, who came up with that harmony, or, things like that. I find that so fascinating. It's the process behind the music, that always fascinated me. And it kind of brought me to music as a fan in the first place. I never really listened to guitar playing just for guitar playing. For me, all the songs that I got excited about, the solos I wanted to learn or the riffs I wanted to learn, it's all because I really liked the song. If a song I don't like has a great riff or a great solo, it might be interesting, but not that much. So that's really something that I would love to hear about. Now, for tutorials for riffs, licks, and solos and all that stuff, most of that is going to be moving to Patreon. And the reason is I love making these deep dive lessons, where we get into the theory, the reason, and the context for the guitar parts. But they take a huge amount of work and a lot of time to produce. And they just, unfortunately, don't get the views on YouTube to make them financially viable. So, of course, I do need to be able to pay for the time that I put into this. So having these videos on Patreon, I think that's just going to better justify the effort. And that way I can keep delivering those tutorials to those of you who really value them, and then keep the content on here a little bit more interesting for everyone. Now, one more thing, I'm also putting together a course that's going to focus on the guitar style of Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. So I've put a lot of effort into coming up with the material and trimming it down to a concise course that's going to cover all of the essentials of Adrian's playing style. And it's not going to have, a flood of examples that's just going to confuse people. It's going to be concise. It's going to get to the point, and it's going to have detailed explanations, close-up views, tabs. There's going to be backing tracks that you could practice with. There's going to be quite a lot of cool stuff with that. And I'm going to be shooting it in the next few days, and then I'm just going to have to edit it, put the whole thing together. And it should be available by spring, and I'll be announcing a pre-sale in the coming weeks. Now, some upcoming videos I just want to tell you about. We're going to be starting the year with a very special breakdown of a Randy Rhoads solo. Then there's going to be a breakdown of one of my favorite Judas Priest songs. And a video that I've been wanting to make for over a year now. We're going to be addressing ADHD and mental health in general. I'm going to be talking about my own experience as well as that of some people that I know well. And it's going to be a bit different from the more typical things you hear online. And it's probably going to be one of the most important videos that I'll ever make, really. And yeah, so that's basically what's going on. I did have something I wanted to mention, and unfortunately I can't talk about it just yet. This is something pretty intense. I'm involved in something. I've been involved in something for the last couple of months, really, concerning a member of Iron Maiden, and it's something really, really cool. I'm really, really stunned that I'm even part of it. I'm really saying this for me more than for you right now, because I can't say anything about it. So me saying this is just kind of me making it real in my own head, because I still haven't come to terms with the fact that this is actually a thing. So for now, I can't really say anything about it, but I did just want to put it out into the world, I guess, that this is a real thing, and I'm involved with it somehow, and it's really cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get to the chat part at this point. I'm just gonna look over here to see if there's any questions coming in. All right, let me see from. All right, so I'm seeing the questions here. For some reason, I'm not seeing them well on my stream video in the studio part of this. So just give me a second while I fix this a little bit. Okay, well, I'm not getting the chat the right way. All right, let me see it in the in here. So no technical difficulties here. Here we go. All right, now I'm getting the chat from here. There we go. All right. Did anyone ever tell me I look like Dave Holland? No, nobody's ever told me that before. I've been compared to a lot of people. Dave Holland, I've never heard before. That's a new one. What are my thoughts on the Jugulator and Demolition albums from Judas Priest? To be honest, I don't know them very well. They're two albums that I haven't. For some reason, when they came out, I wasn't really into them very much. Like, I didn't love the sound of them, and I never really paid attention to them. So, yeah, I probably should, because it's still Priest, but for some reason, I just never really listened to them. What is my practice session like these days? Well, pretty much kind of like what I explained in the latest video about practicing. I do a lot of micro practice. I do a lot of, I go through different days, different things. Sometimes I'm going to be working more on my alternate picking. Some days I'm going to be working more on legato stuff or things that I might have a hard time with, like sweep picking or something like that. I try to do things in different keys to really get familiar with the fretboard a little bit more, so that I'm not just, playing everything in my favorite keys, or the keys that, typically metal is more often played with, E minor, A minor, that kind of thing. So I try to do things in different keys. I also spend time playing bass as well, because I really want to sharpen my skills there. So I'll do, every day a little bit of bass practice as well. And that's more just getting the fingers working together and try to strengthen the right hand, because obviously, having never done it before, it's kind of my weak point, but it's getting a lot better. Especially the stamina, though, is where I need to work a little bit more. And also just need more time for that to develop naturally. So there's a lot of stuff like that. And then I try to work on things for the channel. So learning new solos or new songs, so that we can talk about them properly and all that. So there's a lot of stuff. Basically, I play a lot of guitar during the day. Why is the 50th anniversary Dave Murray's signature guitar missing the correct pickups and the trem, if it's meant to be based on his modded Kossoff Strat? That's the thing. It's actually not. And that's not how they're advertising it. It's so all these 50th anniversary models, they're 50th anniversary models. They're commemorative models. They're not signature issues. They're not replicas of their actual guitars. None of them are. The Yannick one is probably the one that's really the closest, but the rest are, they're inspired by. The Dave Murray one is not marketed as a replica of the Kossoff Strat. Actually, Fender did that a while back. They do have a model like that you could find on Reverb or eBay. Sometimes it's a little bit on the expensive side, but I spoke to a few people that have one, and they said it's phenomenal. So great guitar. But these are, I also spoke to somebody who has the new Dave Murray Strat and said it's fantastic. It's actually, he finds it better than the previous one, like the model I have, the Sunburst. So, I haven't played that one. I did have the chance to play the Adrian Smith version, the Jackson Somewhere in Time-ish Jackson that he's got. That's actually a really nice guitar. And I played the Steve Harris bass a little bit too, and that's a really good bass. There's, some people have said, I don't like the fact that there's no high mass bridge, but it plays just fine. It's actually a good bass. So they're not accurate because they're not supposed to be. They're basically commemorative guitars. It's they're collector's pieces more than anything else. And what they're going to be worth in the future, I don't really know. Which Iron Maiden shows am I planning to go in 2026? Well, I'll be going to Amsterdam and also the one here in Toronto. So just two this time, but I'm excited for both of them because it's a cool tour. It's a really good tour, and I find the set fantastic still. So I'm really excited for that. Okay, somebody asked for the Trooper solo, and somebody asked for the Power Slave solo as well. Yeah, I'll do those. Oh, and any updates on my live gear compared to my video from some time ago? Yeah, actually, it's not changed very much. I'm still using the same amp and more or less the same pedals, so it's very similar. Still, I haven't changed very much. Still the tube screamer going for the one thing I did change on that amp though is the speaker. The vintage 30 that comes with that speaker stock is the ones produced in the I think it was between 2001 and 2019 or something like that, when they were producing them in China, and those were okay, but for some reason they weren't as they were a little muddy for some reason. They weren't as good as they could be. They've since moved production back to the UK, and I don't know what it is that they're doing differently, but the new speaker sounds really a lot better. So I've swapped out that speaker, and it just sounds a little more open, a little brighter. So that's about the only change I've made. The rest is the same. I'm using this guitar that I'm holding right now, actually, and the Ibanez Destroyer, the DT50, and otherwise, that's it. It's the same Trainer combo amp. It's a 50 watt all tube combo amp. And there's a tube screamer, EQ pedal, and a delay for the solos, and the boost, a micro amp for the boost that I use in the effects loop, just for a volume boost. Of course, when you use that, it sucks a little bit of your tone. It's a little bit less high gain. It kind of eats that a little bit, but on the flip side, you actually get to be heard. So yeah, but otherwise my gear is still the same. Do I offer any kind of online guitar lessons? Well, first of all, wish you all the best for 2026. And yes, I do offer online guitar lessons. I on my website, licksofthebeast.com, there's a link, guitar coaching, and basically you could click on that and you could book online. There's packages, there's one-offs. The schedule for January hasn't been uploaded yet. I'm going to be doing that in the next day or two, so check in, by Sunday they should all be there, because I update it every month. So every month I'll update the availabilities, because there's not a whole lot, but I do try to make some hours available each week so that there's at least some options to book. And so lessons are pretty personalized. It's basically whatever it is you need, and I call it coaching because what I'm doing is more focusing on what it is that you might need. And it could be how to overcome a hurdle, it could be how to improve your practice habits, or look at your playing and see what could be improved, what could be holding you back. Sometimes, I've had some people come to me with questions about, for some reason I can never get this lick right, and I should be able to play it, but I can't really do it. What am I doing wrong? And then it's something you find in their picking and the way they're approaching it, or just something in their technique that's working for generally everything else, but then when they do something like that, you see the little fault in their technique that stops that. So yeah, I'm definitely offering that. So check that out on the website. Happy New Year. This is a good one. Very lucky to have the red Ibanez Destroyer. I think it's a beast. It really is. It really is. It's. I actually have two of them. So I have the DT50, which is the one I use live, and the DT300, which that one I don't take out of the house because that's a very rare model. It's the Japan-only version, the same one that Adrian Smith had back in the day, and that he's still using on tour now, actually. That one is a little bit more, it's a little harder to find, and it's a more special guitar just for that reason. They're exactly the same guitar, except the DT300 is a set neck. The DT50, which was for a North American market, has a bolt-on neck. The bolt-on neck has an interesting feature. It actually makes it easier to access the upper frets. You'd think it'd be the opposite, On this model, for some reason, the bolt-on actually makes it a little bit easier to access the upper frets. But other than that, they're the same guitars. Just the hardware is gold on the Japanese model and chrome on the North American one. But yeah, so yeah, it is a great guitar. And you have great hair. That's a great compliment. Thank you. Who's the best looking drummer I've ever played with? My cousin Paulo. He was my first. He was my first drummer. I say that because people always said that we looked the same. So, but but apart from that, I would say Mike Cotton is the not only best looking, but the most awesome drummer I've ever played with. Let's see. So someone asked in Italian if I'm planning on making some videos on guitar modding. Yes, I have thought about that, especially because it's interesting sometimes to take, a cheaper guitar and actually mod it up a little bit to do something really interesting with it. And one good example of that is the white Harley Benton Les Paul that I have. That is a guitar that I play very often, and it cost me, I think it came out to $312 Canadian, which is like, I don't know, $11 US right now. It really didn't cost a whole lot. And all I had done to that guitar is I changed the pickups. I had a PAF 36th anniversary bridge pickup put in the neck position because I just had it lying around. So I used it for that guitar, and I have a super distortion in the bridge position. And the guitar sounds great and plays fantastic. It's on my rack of guitars behind me, and I use it all the time. It's a great instrument. So yeah, definitely that would be something cool. And maybe, with the trip to NAMM, depending on how that goes and the people I talk to there might be some interesting stuff coming out of that could apply to videos about that as well. So yeah, definitely something that we can look into. Just got the Infinite Dreams book. Looks really cool. What are my thoughts on it? I love it. I think it's a great book. Just the way it's put together is amazing. I mean, I made a video about that. If you want to know a bit more detailed thoughts, I do have a video on it. But just real quick, I used to look through Gary Bushell's Running Free and Ross Halfen's What Are We Doing This For? Those two books, I mean, I would look at those every night back in the day. And just, getting lost in those images and kind of fantasizing about what life was for these guys and trying to imagine, having a band like that. And those pictures were so amazing. And especially, back then, we're talking about late 80s, even up to the early 90s. Like, there was nothing there was no social media. There was no way to have all this context of the stuff that they're talking about in these books and, they're showing in the pictures, especially all those behind the scenes views. There was no Instagram. Or nowadays, you get Instagram, you get backstage views, you get everything. The whole tour basically is documented, and you really feel like you're a part of these guys' lives. It wasn't like that back in the day. So book like that was really awesome. This is that, but so much more. I mean, the book is so much bigger, and there's so many more things. Steve Harris's diary, just parts of that in there. When did I ever think I'd get something like that? Like you can just look at those notes, and some of those notes really give you a glimpse into the guy's mind and how it works. Even the way the way he's analyzing, the way a gig might have gone or something they really need to do or work on. I mean, there's a reason why this band became what it became, and it's because of that kind of work. So getting a glimpse into that is amazing. And then, of course, the different instruments and the different T-shirt, or even the look at the props. There's so much in that book, and it's a fantastic collection of images, and it's a great way to celebrate the maiden story, basically, in pictures. So fantastic book. Which Iron Maiden guitar style do I find it hardest to emulate? Yannick. Yannick is definitely the hardest one, just because it's very spontaneous, and there's his picking is a lot different from mine. He picks a lot heavier than I do, so I have to kind of, when I cover a Yannick piece, I do have to try to pick a little harder to kind of emulate his style a little bit. He's a really unique player. It's a different approach to the guitar completely. Like whenever I do Adrian Smith stuff, that kind of Adrian Smith, Randy Rhoads, that kind of a little bit more square kind of playing. It's a little more more linear. I could copy that a little bit better. It just seems to fit my natural style of playing a lot more. I understand that rhythm. Adrian's style. I've been playing those solos for so long, and also it seems to fit into my natural way of playing the guitar a little bit more. So when I'm covering his stuff, it's, I get what he's doing, and I'm able to play in a way that's similar enough. Dave Murray, same thing. It's just a little more fluid, and sometimes it is a little challenging to get those little details in there because it is very loose and fluid, more than I would normally play. But it's still within my way of playing legato. When I play, there's certain things I do that do have that form. So it's not that difficult for me. But Yannick's style is so different because his pick attack is a lot harder. It's a lot more jagged sometimes, and also his fingerings are a little bit different. He plays very, very, very freely, and he'll do these octave jumps and these position jumps, and just it's very off the cuff. So yeah, it's very, very hard to emulate that style for me. It's some of the solos I really had to work on, especially because he plays things that sometimes people think that his technique isn't, all this or all that. His technique's actually a lot better than people think it is. He does some things that are really not easy to do. There's some things that he plays where I really had to struggle to cover. So yeah. Oh, what's the most versatile guitar I have for playing live? If I could only use one for a whole show, what would it be? Probably this one. Just because it's stable. I don't know if it's necessarily the most versatile. Probably is, though, because you have the two single coils, you have the humbucker, you have a Floyd Rose there, so I could also do all the whammy bar stuff if I need to. And it stays in tune really well. The good thing about this guitar is the quarter sawn neck too. It's really, really stable. I used to have the SDX model of this, which I really, really liked. It is a very good guitar. The problem with that one was the neck isn't the same quality wood as this one, and the Floyd Rose Special, of course, isn't quite the same as the Floyd Rose original that's on this one. It was fine for playing at home, was fine for playing a lot of things, but of course here in Canada we do have sometimes pretty harsh weather, and weather that can change within the same day. Sometimes the temperature changes a lot, especially in the wintertime. It could get, different humidity and all that. So it was hard for doing 90-minute sets, without going out of tune. So this solved that problem just because it's a more stable neck and it's a slightly better bridge. So of course, when you're doing a 90-minute set like that, this helped. But yeah, this guitar I think is perfect for that. Which songs from No Prayer for the Dying would I add to the Run for Your Lives tour? Oh man, I really like No Prayer for the Dying a lot. It's an album that just means a whole lot to me. It came out at a time where I was I I think my last year of high school, basically. I don't know. It was just a really important time, but it was a great time. And discovering that album, to me, that's a winter album. It has that, well, fall album actually, and it has that kind of dark feel, but it's an angry album too, a little bit. It's very emotional. There's a lot of good stuff, but I always said, Hooks in You would have been fun just because it's the one that Adrian wrote, and it's such an Adrian riff. I mean, it's very Michael Shankery, but it's kind of cool to see also the way they would maybe harmonize the solo that Yannick did there, because it'd be pretty neat. I know it's not a great song the way they did it. The lyrics are kind of silly and the melodies are okay, whatever, but I don't know, that would be cool. But if I had to, really pick like a song, it would be something like maybe Tail Gunner or Public Enemy #1, because that I remember sounding really good live when they did play it. The Assassin was cool too. That's a really good one too. There's a lot of good stuff on that album. So yeah, any one of those would be great. And also the title track, very powerful song. The title track. Am I planning on doing some more Metallica content? Yes, absolutely. Metallica's actually, I'm going to be doing a couple of Metallica bass things. Some Cliff Burton stuff as well. So that's going to be cool. Yeah, Metallica's an important band for me. It's I got into Metallica heavily even before I got into Iron Maiden, really. And when I first started playing guitar, Metallica is responsible for my very first guitar breakthrough, actually. I'll talk about that in a video, but basically the Master of Puppets album, that was very important. But yeah, Metallica is a very important band for me, especially, everything up to the Black Album. So yeah, definitely some more Metallica content. Dave Murray solo from Killers, if I remember it, and if it's possible, I think I remember it. Let's see if I do remember it. Let's actually do something. Let's see if I could play this along with the original track. There we go. Yeah, let's go to the solo. I forgot that completely. Yeah, I completely forgot that. But cool solo. And yes, Clive is definitely a beast on that. So he's a beast on everything. It would be interesting to watch a gear breakdown for a specific guitar player and discuss alternative and cheaper ways to get a similar tone in a home setup. Okay, so yes, that would be pretty cool. Now, the thing is, I don't really do that too much myself. Like, I don't try to get their exact tone because, first of all, it changes from album to album. Every album, they've had a completely different sound. But also, their sound is, what you're hearing on the album, you never really hear their tones separately anyway. You're hearing everything blended and you're hearing the mix version. If you actually played through their individual sound exactly the way it was on the album, isolated, and then you play like that at home, you probably wouldn't like it all that much because what works in a mix is not necessarily what works when you're playing. You'd have a lot less bass most likely. It would probably not sound the way you hear it on the album if you're playing through that. So there's that. And also, there's, again, it changes from album to album, so it is a little bit hard. What I do think is cool is to try to get a good sound that works for those songs and that allows you to play them comfortably and, in a way that sounds like those songs should sound. And that is something. And I do it on the cheap myself because I use audio plugins for just about everything. Actually, right now I'm playing through a Spark amp, with the basic Spark app. So, that's cheap. That's definitely on the cheap what I'm using, and it works. So. Oh, thoughts on Starblind? I've actually, I'm planning on doing something on Starblind at some point because it's a great song. It's a standout song for me on that album. The Final Frontier is not my favorite Maiden album, but it's really, there's something about that album where I really like, there's songs that I love on it, but as an album, I don't go to it too often. I don't know what it is about that album, but it just, I don't know if it's the mix. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the pacing of it. There's just something, I don't love it, so I don't always listen to it, but there are some cool things, and Starblind is definitely one of them. There's some really cool, I just wish it was done a little more carefully because there's some little fills and things like that in there that sound a little sloppy. They sound a little noisy, like the mix isn't quite right, which is too bad because there's some really good stuff. It's basically a little Infinite Dreams-esque. I guess it reminds me a little bit of Infinite Dreams, the way some of the parts are. So it's a great song. Do I think that Maiden sometimes rely too much on pentatonics? No, not really. I don't. I mean, it's, pentatonics basically missing two notes from any other scale. It's not, it's not anything negative. Pentatonics are present in a lot of music. I mean, listen to, a lot of music, a lot of Asian music, for example, uses pentatonics quite a bit. And I mean, there's, it's not lacking. So no, I don't think so. Zakk Wylde uses pentatonics like crazy, and it sounds great. You could do a lot with those. And it's the reason a lot of rock in general uses pentatonics is because it's, some of the tones in between, there's some intervals. Actually, Iron Maiden, a lot of the guys in Maiden, the guitar players, use the hexatonic a lot because they do add the major second. So it's not just, but it's, you do hear that because those kind of things. That's hexatonic. And I think it works, because really the only thing that's missing then is the sixth, and that doesn't always work in rock. You don't always need that interval. So no, I don't think they use it too much at all. I think they use what works. Standout tracks from the Blaze era. My standout tracks are, well, Sign of the Cross. That's a great song. That's just a fantastic song. I like the Aftermath a lot, and I really like Yannick's solo on that song too. Um, Fortunes of War is pretty cool. Lightning Strikes Twice. I really like those side two songs on Virtual 11. You know, like Don't Look to the Eyes of a Stranger or When Two Worlds Collide. I don't know. There's something about those songs. I really like the vibe on them. They're, you know, the recording, the execution, you know, that kind of thing. Yes, it could have been better, of course. It feels a little bit rushed and a little bit copy pasted, maybe. But there's something about the vibe of those songs I really do like. Thoughts on Joe Bonamassa? I actually saw him live in November here, and it was phenomenal. The guy's amazing. Um, he's just an incredible musician. He's a great guitar player, and live, it's his band is just, you know, I mean, his band is amazing, and you know, it was a great show. So yeah, I really love his playing. He's a great guitar player. Even technically, he's really good. And he's another guy who uses pentatonics play extremely well. Thoughts about Virus with Blaze? I I like the you know, the riff, you know, the whole you know, like that thing. I really like that part. Um, and I like the verse. I think the verse is really good too. Um, Actually, the verse and chorus are really good. Like the chorus is great. So I like that. the The intro's really cool, but a bit too long. And the whole middle part, you know, the rats in the cellar, all that thing. Don't love that part. So that could have been. I feel that part felt a little bit like, all right, what are we gonna do here? Okay, let's just repeat this. But otherwise, it could have been a really good song. Oh, in a recent in a recent interview, Adrian Smith revealed that he auditioned for Def Leppard in 1991 after Steve Clark's death and his departure from Maiden. What's my thoughts on? You know, it's funny because I there's something visually I just see it. You know, Adrian, I could imagine him in that band, especially, you know, back then it would have fit. Now maybe I don't know as much, but back then it would have fit. I think it would have been interesting to see how they would have worked together. Because also Adrian's a singer, and that could have been interesting for that band. I don't know if ultimately it would have worked out that well, because Def Leppard at that time were kind of, you know, quote unquote, guilty of kind of the same things that, you know, Adrian, I guess, well, I mean, I guess he was more complaining about, you know, Iron Maiden's going a little bit too raw. And so Def Leppard would probably have scratched that itch a little bit more. But I think at the same time, it maybe was going a little too commercial for, you know, what Adrian would have felt comfortable with. So who knows? It might have worked out maybe for a little bit. In the long run, I don't know. And I don't know how, if he might have felt a little bit constrained. I mean, if it's fine for Vivian Campbell, I'm sure it could be fine for Adrian, but Adrian's also a guy that likes to do his own stuff. So as long as he would have had time to do that as well, maybe he would have felt fulfilled in there. But I don't know, could have been interesting. I'm just glad he ended up, you know, doing the stuff with Bruce and then ultimately rejoining Maiden. So I'm glad it didn't happen, because then maybe he would never have rejoined Maiden at all. Exercises. Some advice for exercising Dave's legato style. I mean, the way Dave probably got to it is not by doing exercise, by just playing like that. And there's something to be said for also personal aptitudes. He probably plays like that naturally too. Like he has, Dave Murray strikes me as somebody that has very strong hands, and that his legato is just naturally like that. But what I do for my own legato is there's some patterns that I do that try to use all the like the fingers together. Like for example, like something like this. This is really simple and it works really well. Just like that, and you get sloppy real quick because it's not easy to do. And I'm not warmed up now, but basically that's the kind of thing I do. And I'll do it also like this, like like that, and then I'll do like and where you catch yourself making mistakes usually is you don't hit the middle note. You'll go like it sounds like it, but you're not. You kind of forget that middle note. So that's what that trains. It trains you to make sure that when you're going back, you're actually hitting all the notes. So that's a cool exercise. And then just, doing your trills. Things like that. And that's basically it. Oh, and you can do also scales going, all the way up or down the neck. Like, just do that. And you work on your legato like that. It's basically just giving yourself exercises that target where you're having a bit of a hard time. And then just doing that. The other thing is if you're having a hard time with stamina, because that's what's really impressive about Dave is that he can do that for hours, is do short bursts. Like don't go crazy. Do like, just a little short phrase like that you could repeat and do reps. And that sometimes helps you because it's stamina doesn't really affect you too much. If you're doing something that's like a really long exercise or long pattern, sometimes you give out before you're able to actually work on the technique. So a good thing, keep it short and work on the stamina. What do I think about Richie Kotzen as a guitar player? Yeah, he's definitely one of the really good guitar players out there. I mean, what that guy was doing, by the time he was 20 was phenomenal. The guy was just amazing. His first two albums are crazy. So yeah, I mean, I still have magazine articles from him, like from back in the day when I think it was the time of his second album or something like that. And I mean, the guy was already, a prodigy, obviously. The guy's really talented. And yeah, he does do really well with it. Like him and Adrian work really well together. Their singing styles blend really well. Their songwriting works well together. Their solo styles. It's great. It's funny because there's actually more guitar harmonies on the new Smith Kotzen record than there are on the last Maiden album. So, yeah, but they really work well together. The guy's a great guitar player. Have you listened to some AI covers of metal songs? I initially dismissed them, but ethics aside, they provide almost studio quality what ifs. Like, what if Ozzy sang on Seven Star? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool as an experiment. It's interesting. I don't really care for it personally, and so I never really listened to it. The thing I do like the mashups that people do. I think those are fun. But other than that, I don't really listen to it. Like I know it's basically we know what it's doing. So it could be kind of cool, but I don't really listen to it. I don't really enjoy the sound of the AI produced things. There's something about the sound of that just irritates me a little bit. So I don't really enjoy it. Do I perform my guitar setup myself? When it's basic things like truss rod adjustments and things like that, yes. Because also, with all the different guitars, and again, this is a climate that could be a little bit rough. Canada could be a little bit hard, especially in the wintertime, with the humidity being really low. Because like in this room, I have a humidifier going almost all the time. And I have to keep the humidity at a good level. Otherwise, it dries up a little bit too much. That's the problem with the cold weather and the heat always being on and all that. It does make everything dry. So I'm constantly having to adjust truss rods. Like even on this guitar here where the truss rod, there's no, this is the older one. I also have the newer one, but this one here, there's no direct access. You don't have the spoke wheel adjustment. So I have to actually remove the neck. Almost all the way. I usually just kind of remove it enough that I can access the truss rod, the screw, and basically just turn that. And so I do that myself. It's not a big deal. Once you know what you're doing, it's not really a big deal at all. It doesn't take long. So the more you keep it right. The more you make little adjustments. Once it's off, the less crazy you have to go because it's just one quick turn and you're done. Like this guitar. I might have to do like maybe half a turn on the truss rod if it's really bad. Otherwise, not even that much, and it's good to go. And string height with a Floyd Rose, it's not really a big deal. The bridge height, I know how I like it. I usually I don't keep my strings that low. Actually, my action's never that low. It's almost it's usually around the 2 millimeter side on the bass and about 1.75 on the treble. So I don't keep it too low. I keep it, at a decent height because I don't love low action when it's too low. I find you don't get the same tone. You don't get the same access to bends. Some of the things choke out, and I really feel like you don't get the same breadth of tone as when you have the strings have a little more room to vibrate. So I do all that myself, and it's not a big deal. If there's something bigger. If I have to change pickups or things like that or do that, I don't really feel like welding and, doing like soldering and all that stuff. So I don't bother. If it's something that I'm not able to figure out, if the guitar is just not playing right, then I'll take that in and get that done. But if it's usual setups, I'll do that myself. Okay, so let's I had some requests for some jams. So let me do one right now. So I had Power Slave and the Trooper solo. You know what? Let's do that. Let me go to the Trooper. Yeah, still a fun solo to play. All right, let me get back to the questions here. What are my thoughts on Adrian Smith's solo project ASAP and Psycho Motel? So Psycho Motel, I have to listen back to that. I haven't listened to that in a long time. But ASAP, I was listening to not too long ago, and it's a really different album. That's like, I don't even know. I always say that album, if it had come out a little before, because I think the style of that album didn't fit the time when it came out, and that's just because I'm sure, I mean, these guys were all on the road for, all the 80s, so everything just kind of passed them by. And I think what Adrian had in his head would have worked so much better a few years before, because that album, if it had come out in 1985, it would have been huge. It would have been maybe not huge, but it would have been a big album for sure, because it's got great songs. It would have worked so much better. Unfortunately, the time it came out, it was too late for that kind of sound, because it was just a year later you had Nirvana basically. So it's it came out at the wrong time. But the songs are really good. I really like The Lion on that. That's a great song. Of course, the title track. And Blood on the Ocean, After the Storm. There's some really good stuff on there. So it's a cool album. There's stuff like, even like Just Another Kid Gone Astray or something like that, where it's really different, but it works. Like the chorus of that song is actually really catchy. The arrangements are just really, really different. It's experimental in that sense, but it's also catchy and it really works. So it's a really good album. Oh yeah, With You. That's from Psycho Motel. That's a good song, With You. I actually, I think in the first year that I've been doing Licks of the Beast, I think on the Instagram, page, I covered that, both solos. But that was a long time ago. Yeah, that's a good song. On Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner on Flight 666, there's a melody, there's a harmony after the solos that they don't play on the album. Oh, it's actually on the album. So interestingly enough, I think if I understand what you're talking about, that is actually on the album. It's a 3-part harmony. If it's the part that I think you're talking about. Let me see. Let's go to Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Let's take a look at that. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. All right, let's go to that harmony part. Are you hearing it? It's there. He's going. It actually is on the album, but it's a bit lower in the mix. And I think on the remastered version you hear it a little bit more maybe, but that's basically it. So it's he's just adding it, because before, when they were just 2 guitar players, it was, Dave playing and Adrian going. And now with the 3 of them, Yannick is doing that part, and Adrian can go. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's basically like it's a fifth down from what Dave is playing, and a sixth up from what the other Adrian harmony is. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a cool part. Oh, if there's an '80s B-side from the '80s that I'd like to cover, That Girl, and I probably will do that because I just love that song. It's the most somewhere in time thing for some reason. It just, from the way it starts with that. Yeah, I just love that. So yeah, it's the most '80s somewhere in time Maiden thing, and I probably will cover it because it's just cool. Let's see. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, the Fallen Angel solo by Yannick. It's cool. It's him just basically doing a couple of cool legato things, but it's fast, and that's his playing style, right? Very very off the cuff, spontaneous. It's a cool bit. Let's see what else. How many times have I seen Maiden live? Oh, a lot. I don't remember, honestly. I haven't counted. I'd have to count each one, but quite a bit. I've seen them on every tour since No Prayer for the Dying, except for the Virtual 11 tour. I didn't see that one. I was I don't remember if I didn't want to go to that. I did. I just wasn't into that tour for some reason back in the day. I know my cousin went. My two cousins went, and they told me about it and said, you missed the Spinal Tap moment because apparently the Eddie, the inflatable Eddie, kind of. This was in the Montreal show, so if anybody was there, maybe they could vouch for this. But apparently, the inflatable Eddie kind of deflated pretty quickly, and it just looked bad. Apparently, there was or detached or something. I don't remember, but something like I remember them telling me it was Spinal Tap. It was ridiculous. So I don't know. But other than that, I saw every tour, and some of them multiple times. I saw A Matter of Life and Death twice. I wish I would have seen it at least one more time, but because that was a great tour. I love that album. So yeah. So I've seen them on every tour since No Prayer for the Dying. Yeah, I think there's a bit of a delay, so I'm trying to just catch up. And I remember seeing there was another good request for a little jam there, but I think I might have missed that. Let me just scroll up a little bit. Oh, the Power Slave solo. That's right. Oh, can I play Genghis Khan? Yeah, sure. Solo. Okay, so meaning just no backing track, right? Yeah, let's do that. Let me just remember it. Oops. Oh, there's a go that part. Yeah, I don't remember all the transitions there, but basically that's what it is. Many YouTubers interview Adrian Smith. Why I don't? Well, I've never actually had the opportunity to. I think sometimes it's a question of timing and having the right, just catching it at the right time. And so far it just hasn't happened, but doesn't mean it won't. But for now it hasn't happened. I would like to do it. The only thing with these interviews like that is that I'd like to do it the right way. And, an interview with Adrian Smith, there's been quite a lot of them just over, over Zoom or whatever, just virtual like that. And some of them turn out okay. But some of them I find there's lacking that real interaction. And for me to do something like that and have it be worthwhile, it would have to be the right setting and the right context and the right time. Because otherwise, it's just going to be another set of the same kind of questions and with the same kind of... So it would have to be something really good. I would love to do something like that if the context was right and if things were done really in the right way. I have something in mind. So hopefully, that's something that could materialize at some point. But I'd really like to do something a little bit different. Have I tried to play Walking on Glass? I actually have a video on Walking on Glass from earlier in the channel's history. If you go back through my videos on this channel, there is a video about 3 licks from Walking on Glass that are really cool. And I also talk about the harmony that Adrian and Dave do on there and how it works together. It's actually a pretty cool video. I think, for it to be an earlier video, it's still pretty cool. I think it still holds up, and there's some interesting tidbits in there because there's some really cool stuff going on that both Dave and Adrian were doing. Now we have to do Genghis Khan. So that's Alonso. He's my partner in crime in the Maiden tribute that I play in, Made in Canada. So he plays Dave Murray's parts. Yeah, we have to do Genghis Khan. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. That's actually pretty cool. That would be nice to do. Sabotage, Prelude to Madness, Hall of the Mountain King. I don't know about that one. I do have some Sabotage planned. I'm just not sure exactly which one or ones, but there will be some more Chris Oliva stuff for sure. Absolutely. No, I've never seen Sabotage with Chris Oliva. I've never seen Sabotage live at all, actually, unfortunately. And I would have loved to have seen them last year. But that didn't happen because I was in Europe when they were there. We saw Judas Priest, we saw Iron Maiden, and we were trying to work out seeing Sabotage. They were actually in Milan the day that we left from Italy because we were in Italy for about 10 days. We're in the south of Italy though, so just nearby Naples, which is, a little bit, it's about a 1 hour flight from Milan, so it's not bad, but or an 8-9 hour drive. But yeah, we would have loved to have gone. Like, I really wanted to go to, because they were playing, I believe, at the Alcatraz, which is a very important venue in Milan for rock and metal. So I really wanted to go to that, but the show was literally the day we were coming back to Canada. So it's too bad, because that would have been really cool. But I hope I can see them live this year. That would be really, really great. Someone who's primarily a classic rock blues guitar player, where do you recommend me to start with Iron Maiden? Some of the early stuff, maybe, because you can really hear that blues rock influence. Maiden is at its core really a blues rock based band with prog elements and things like that. But the guitar work anyway, not so much the arrangements, but the guitar playing is very blues rock based. There's a lot of that. Adrian Smith is a blues rock guitar player at heart. That's kind of what he started with, and his core style still has a lot of those elements, and his early stuff is definitely full of that. So there's a lot in common with some Michael Schenker in there, and you hear like some Thin Lizzy kind of stuff in his solos, the early stuff, even the guitar parts in general. You do get a lot of that classic blues rock stuff in those early albums. Even like a song like Drifter, that's blues rock, like, completely. Or like like something like that. That's Innocent Exile. That's very blues rock. So anything off the first couple of albums, you'll really get that. And then just their style is not that different from most blues rock kind of guitar playing. It even, you'll hear some of Adrian's more metal sounding solos if you actually break them down. And again, I have a video about this, about Adrian's solo on The Prisoner and Adrian's solo on The Duelists, which it sounds like a very metal solo, but it's actually a blues solo. If you really break it down, it works. In that video about The Duelists, I actually play it over a 12-bar blues. I think I did the same thing with The Prisoner solo, and it works perfectly over. In The Duelist, there's actually even the turnaround at the end of the lick. So yeah, it's it definitely, all that stuff is very approachable. And yeah, any Maiden Canada shows? Not yet. We're still figuring that out for this year, based on everyone's schedule. Oh, somebody asked for something from Triumph. I actually need to learn some Triumph, because which is crazy enough, they're touring, which is going to be great. But yeah, Triumph had some cool stuff. I don't know if I remember any of their stuff, because I never really learned a lot of it. But yeah, that was a cool riff, Spellbound. Yeah, that was a cool riff. All right, I think that's where we're gonna end this, because I think we've passed. Yeah, we're almost at an hour and a half here, so I think we're good. So I think we're gonna end this here for now. Yeah. So once again, thank you to everybody who tuned in. And if you'd like to see more of these lives, if you'd like me to do more, let me know, because it could be a fun thing to do on a more frequent basis. I've only ever done a few of these, typically a year end or, to start the year. So it might be cool to do a few more of these throughout the year. So if it's something you'd like to see, do let me know. That's the kind of thing I wouldn't mind doing every now and then. I think it could be a cool way to keep in touch and to do some, some things. But yeah, if there's anything. Oh, actually, here's somewhere in the Maidenverse. No, you're not too late. You're still. I mean, we're still here. And actually, somewhere in the Maidenverse is somebody that's been following the channel and the Instagram page from the very beginning. So yeah, definitely not too late. Thank you for tuning in. That's really cool, actually. It's nice to see that, when somebody's been hanging out for a couple of years on the channel and on the page and everything, and supporting it. It's really hugely appreciated. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. And no, you're not too late. We're still here. If actually, you know what? If you have a question or if you have a request, I'm gonna hang out for a minute more just for you. No, you're awesome. Yeah, these like I said, these chats are fun to do sometimes, because again, you get to interact like this, right? And it's not all the time that I get to do this. So you know what? Let me just scan one more quick time here in case I missed something. Can I do? Oh, here's a good question, actually, and I can't believe I missed this. So, can I do a video on how I learn a solo? Yeah, that is actually something that I do want to do. It's something I've been wanting to do, to just show the whole process of learning. Just learning the solos and figuring them out, especially if it's a bit of a more challenging one where I have to work on some parts, because there were a few like that last year where I really had to struggle with some parts and pace, but like some solos took a while. I remember there was Vivian Campbell's Last in Line solo, that last part, that took me a little bit, because that fast picking bit is a little bit tricky. And there was Richie Faulkner's solo from which song was it? Do or Die. That was just crazy. There was a lick in there that was just, there's a whole run in there that was mental. And he's playing it on the album like it's not, like it's just blah blah. But when I was like, okay, maybe that lick's gonna be a little bit challenging, but the solos are all feasible. Okay, and I go learn that lick, and I'm like, okay, I got it. Yeah, I just got to practice it a bit. And it ended up taking me like 2 months or something, just to get, maybe even more than that, just to get it really the way I wanted it to, because it was just not working. It wasn't sounding right. And he's playing it so precisely, and mine was, quite sloppy. So I had to really work on it. And so that was fun. So it'd be cool to document something like that too. Okay, so request Davies Clairvoyant solo. And Starblind. All right. Yeah, I could do both of those real quick. Starblind, I don't know much of it, but I think I still remember the riff. The where is that? Something like that. Yeah, it's a cool song. Oh, do I prefer jumbo frets or medium jumbo for my playing? Jumbo. I think I overall. I mean, I have medium jumbo on some guitars too. That's fine. But if I had to pick, jumbo frets, I think are my favorite. For the neck, it really depends. I mean, most of my necks I think are maple, and I have some that are different materials too. As for the fretboard, ebony is actually really nice. Ebony is really nice. I don't mind maple too. Maple could be really cool. And I have my telly that has a roasted maple neck that's really nice. But I think ebony is probably my favorite overall. And I mean, I think almost all my Lados, except for my first one that I got, the Lado 2, the super one of the super strats, because that one has a rosewood fretboard. But the other ones all have ebony, and they're great. It's really nice, but I really like that. All right, so let's you know what, let's do that clairvoyant solo. Let me just, hopefully I remember it, because some of these things, and it's been a while. So let's see. Is it? Let's play it along with the thing so I can actually remember it. There we go. All right, let me just remember that. Let's do that again. Oh man, this is, oh, here we go. You wanted to see how I learned a solo. There we go. There we go. What was it after that? There we go. What is it? How is it? All right, that was almost good. So what's this one leg? go. There we go. Okay, now we can do the solo. All right. It was amazing, but decent. So yeah, that's kind of how I go through learning the solos, basically, is listening, trying to copy, and trying to figure out, what is he doing exactly? What's that lick exactly? Okay, rewind. And it's lick by lick. Now this one, of course, I know the solo, so, I just had to remember it because I haven't played it in a while. So it's a little bit easier. But it's basically like that. Sometimes I go really bar by bar, so I even break it down more than that. Yeah, that flurry is really cool. That is really neat. Greetings from Italy. I'm the guy that commented about your Ferrea Virgos shirt a few months ago. Yeah, that's a great T-shirt. It's basically, well, Iron Maiden in Latin, and it's got some song titles in Latin, and it's a riot. It's great. Comunque, ciao Stefano. And so that's all right. So I think with that we have reached the end of this chat. So thank you again to everybody for tuning in and for hanging out with me for a little while and helping me kick off 2026 in a fun way. And this is going to be a big year for Licks of the Beast, and I think there's a lot of crazy stuff in the works. If you want to know, if you missed the beginning of this live chat, check that part out in the replay, because I do mention some things that are upcoming, and there's some pretty cool stuff. I think this is going to be a really, really big year for us, and the channel's growing a lot in the last little bit, and it's going to do even more this year. So big plans for the next 12 months, and thank you for supporting everything we've been doing up until now, and I'm really excited about what we're going to do in the next year. So stay tuned for that. And again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. And Happy New Year to everybody. And I'll see you all soon, maybe at one of the shows. All right, guys. Thanks again, and have a good one. Cheers.